layer. Then layer memory, traces, yeah. That's when most people give up.
That's why we made Toolhouse, the first agentic backend as a service,
Which is startup speak for, we did the hard stuff so you can get to the fun part.
Toolhouse is the agentic backend that's already wired up. Just define your agent, deploy it, done.
Toolhouse gives you the whole stack: RAG, memory, traces, edge functions, and more.
If my grandma wanted to deploy an LLM agent, she'd use Toolhouse.
Okay, sweetie, now what?
Whether you're building a chat assistant, a micro software as a service, or your next hackathon flex, Toolhouse has your back because it was built by developers for
Developers.
Exactly. So stop overthinking. Start building with Toolhouse.
Hey everybody, today is a beautiful Tuesday and we've got a cool announcement. We've been testing internally the n8n node for Toolhouse. So Toolhouse is now available on n8n, and today in this live stream, I want to go over a couple of, steps on how you can also get started with n8n. So why did we build a node? I guess that's the first question. I think, one of the most important things is to reach users where they are. And n8n has become one of the most exploding topics, I guess, in the last couple of months. It actually overtook things like Zapier in the last couple of weeks in terms of search trend. So congratulations to everybody who's been working on n8n node automation. That's what n8n stands for, by the way, node automation or something like that. And so congratulations to everybody who's been working on n8n. You guys won a big popularity contest. So let me share my screen and I'll show you how to get started in just a second. All right. We're gonna start with this. I'm gonna turn on a light here, make it look a little bit brighter in my little cave. All right, perfect. I'm gonna make myself small because I'm not that interesting. Although I do have one of these Toolhouse t-shirts. If people want to receive a nice Toolhouse t-shirt, please let us know in the comments, in the reply, send me an email, join Discord, and let me know. We can send you a t-shirt if you want to rep the brand. We're also thinking about other kind of swag, other things like maybe hats or socks. I love socks. Some people hate socks, but it's better than underwear. Toolhouse socks could be pretty cool. The little logo kind of maybe without the word Toolhouse, just the logo on your socks. That could work. Okay, so first things first, I'm going to redirect everybody to our GitHub repo here, github.com, Toolhouse AI, Toolhouse-n8n. This is a public repo that anybody can clone. One important thing that we're doing is taking the repo here and turning into an n8n automated official repo. So you can basically in the future will be able to add the Toolhouse node directly from inside your n8n interface. But today, because this is brand new, the way that we're going to show you how to do is through a local n8n Docker container image that we're going to spin it up. And I already have mine spun up, but I'm going to go over the steps on how to do it. So the first thing you want to do is to obviously get this repo. Do a git clone of this URL, or if you use the GitHub CLI, just go over here and do that. Let me kill that. And so the first thing is going to be git clone, and then you paste the URL here. First thing, you do this, perfect. It's going to give you this Toolhouse-n8n directory. If you cd into it, I'm just giving you all the commands. I'm already in it, but for you, you can do a little CD. Oh, I'm trying to, there we go. Whoa. Wow, cool. Okay, that's a bug from Ghost TTY. All right, so you do the CD. Now we're in the directory like I showed. Here's the files. What you want to do is you want to build the node. When you build the node, it's going to basically build it locally. npm run build. I'm going to do it again. It's going to build a couple of things super quick, 6.64 milliseconds, because I already had done it maybe a couple of times. Some cache might have been, but it's a very small node, so it's gonna take literally milliseconds. All right, and then there is a cool thing we did for you already, so you don't have to worry about it. There's a Docker Compose file. So if I do cat Docker Compose, here's the simple n8n Docker Compose file that we're going to be using. It's got this, oh, whoops. It's got this, and I'm going to move my face. Why is my face always in the middle? I hate it. There you go. n8n, pulling the image from the official n8n repo for Docker, binding a couple of ports, and then loading up the volumes, which will also contain the distribution node that Toolhouse built. So this one here, it's basically telling Docker, hey, you want to load the folder that is in our computer, in this here, the dist folder right here. I want to load it up into my Docker container at this specific location under the custom. And this is really important because it's going to allow you to use the Toolhouse node inside of your own n8n containerized instance. All right. So now that we know what this file does, we won't be afraid of running the command, which is docker compose up. So once you do that, it's going to take a couple of seconds or maybe more, depending on your internet speed, depending on your computer. And then at the end of the whole thing, it's going to have you go to localhost 5678 because of, remember, we specified to map the default port with the local port here. And I'm going to do that and drag it over here to this mirror here, this monitor here. And now you can see that the first thing you're gonna do is gonna have to create a login. I already did it because I've been messing around with n8n. I'm very new to n8n as well, by the way. So we're learning together. And so the first thing you can do is you can go ahead and create a workflow. A workflow in n8n is that beautiful node-based workflow. Does that make sense? It's like the diagram where you connect things to make things happen. So here we go. I create a new workflow. This has got a name. We're going to call it Demo Toolhouse. Just give it a nice name. And now we're going to give a first step. The first step you want to do is you can start with a trigger. Because we're running this manually and locally, we want to use the trigger manually block first. So we can drag this here. But there are many other triggers that you can use. For example, if you connect n8n to another app, you might have, an Airtable or an Asana or a webhook. There's so many things. So let's see, webhook. If someone sends you a webhook to your machine, or if you deploy n8n on a remote server and you make sure you open all the ports, and then you might have a webhook as a starting thing. But for us, because we're keeping this very simple, we're going to trigger this manually, okay? So click that, trigger manual, okay? And now we're going to decide on something cool to build. The next thing you can do is you can execute the workflow, make sure it works. Yep, it works. We're not doing any action here. So the next thing we want to do is to add a follow-up. So because of the fact that we mapped the Toolhouse n8n node automatically inside of this n8n instance, you'll just be able to type Toolhouse, and we're going to pick the AI agent, and this is going to allow us to spawn or call an AI agent that you can build on Toolhouse. So we're going to do that in a second. There's also another thing here, the Toolhouse webhook. This webhook basically doesn't have any parameter. it's basically something that we're not going to use today. But as you know, you can also use the Toolhouse webhook if you were to want to build that, okay? So we're not going to use that now. We don't want to launch webhooks. We don't want to receive webhooks. We don't want to do anything of that sort. So let's go back, and we're going to build a Toolhouse agent. Here, you're given two options. You're given the option to start the conversation or continue a conversation. So if you have an agent which you already instantiated in Toolhouse, maybe you already created it and you started talking to it, it's already got a purpose, so to speak. And by that, I mean like you built it, but you already used it, and you want to keep using the statefulness of the agent. Remember, in Toolhouse, every time you start a conversation with an agent that you build, it's going to have a memory of what the conversation was about. So, for example, if you say, you build an agent that gives you one recipe every day, and you don't want to repeat the same recipe for whatever reason, you could say, hey, give me a recipe today. And so if you say make it unique, it's going to say, okay, I'm going to give you a recipe. Maybe you want to cook something nice, which does not use the same food or ingredients that you might have used yesterday. So it depends really. And that's actually a cool use case. So let's actually go ahead and try that. So let's go on Toolhouse and let's build a new agent here. Create an agent which gives me a new recipe. Oh, I don't even know how to read recipe. Ooh, spelling. There we go. My bad. I'm not native. That's my excuse for everything, right? A new recipe in a way that I can try new food every time. The important aspect of this agent is that if I have, whoa, I need a new keyboard here. It's a MacBook keyboard. If I have eaten this food in the past, I do not want to eat it again. All right, let's send it. Boom. And so just like that, we're launched into the Agent Studio, and we're going to take a look at what the agent looks like. So the system prompt built by Toolhouse Agent Studio says you're a culinary assistant whose primary goal is to help users discover new recipes. Avoid repeating dishes they already tried. Follow these steps. Okay, looks pretty good. And then it also adds a message. I'd like to try a new recipe for dinner tonight. Please make sure it's something I haven't eaten before. Very cool. All right, let's deploy that. And now down here, we have the usual suspects. We have a way that you can test the agent automatically into a chat, just like that. You have the API, if you want to call it through another system. And then you can also schedule this to run on demand. But you can also build a whole interface with Lovable and with Bold. So that's all very cool, but we're not going to build anything directly. We're going to use n8n. So now I'm going to drag this block here. I just clicked on it. It's going to ask me to connect to my Toolhouse account. So let's see what that looks like. It's very simple. You need to set an API key. You go into the Toolhouse Agent Studio or open a new tab, go back to Toolhouse, and then if you are under Orlando, this is my username, my name rather, API keys, you want to copy this API key here and you want to put it inside of this field here. And now this is obviously hidden because otherwise I would be leaking my API key and I don't want to do that. So this is how you authenticate into Toolhouse inside of n8n. The next thing you want to do is you want to select the start, make sure it's start conversation. We don't want to continue. We can use continue later. And then the other thing we're going to use is select from the drop down the agent that we want to use, right? We can either specify the ID here, and we're going to try that in a second, or we can simply select it from here. So our agent was called Never Repeat Recipe Recommender. All right, nice. Okay, sorry about that. There it is. It automatically pulled it up. And now we can send it a message, the initial message, which will overwrite the initial message that we specified down here. I'd like to try a new recipe for dinner tonight. Please make sure it's something I haven't eaten before. Okay, so we're gonna actually say, give me a brunch item, because here in Austin, Texas, where I live, yeehaw, we're almost at brunch time. So please give me a brunch recipe. Again, how do I spell recipe? Oh, I hope I spell it right. With traditional Texas. Oh, there we go. I'm zooming in a bit. Texas ingredients. All right, perfect. Now I'm going to zoom out. Oh, I misspelled ingredients here. My bad. Damn, I need to be better at writing. And then what you can do is you can execute this step, right? Or you can go back to the canvas and add more nodes. So let's execute it to see how the node will actually run this Toolhouse agent and get the output. So here we go. So another thing that's important to know is that the message here is written by you. But of course, if you add different nodes into your workflow, you can then pass, from this hand side, you can drag and drop the variables into the fields of your node. That's the important part. And so here we go. We got a response from the agent. That's really cool. There's different types. You can preview it as a table or as JSON if you're really into this, which I think it's apologies. I think this is nice when you have to quickly go through loads and loads of results, but we're going to use the schema. So now you see I have this response output here. I can drag it into my next node, and I'll show you how. Okay, so we have that. Now we have outputs, one item. It's in green. So we're going to press this button and add another node. Another node that you can add is perhaps Notion. Maybe you want to write recipes into Notion. Maybe you want to write these recipes that the Toolhouse isn't built for you. Maybe you want to add it, send it via email. So you can even build, in fact, another agent in Toolhouse, which will take the output from the first agent, and then you can pipe it into the next agent to create a little chain of agents that work together. And this is very useful, especially if you're trying to build some sort of AI agent, which helps you with, for example, customer support, or helps you answer social media messages, etc., etc. The next thing you do is you want to add maybe an output, some sort of block here that allows you to take the data and move it to the next part, right? So let's see. I'm going to add another one here, and we can transform the data if we want, or we can send an HTTP request to another thing. But for the sake of this, we're going to do Notion, okay? We're going to add, create a database page, because I like Notion. A lot of people like Notion, so we're going to do that. Okay, so Notion, we have to do the same thing, right? Wire it up. First of all, we're going to wire it up. Hop. All right. Make it look pretty. And then double click on it, and we want to make sure that we have a connection to the page that you want to access. All right, so I'll show you what that means in just a second. Let's see if I can find my Notion page that I was working on. All right, there it is. Hop. Hop. And there we go. Oh. All right, so this is my n8n test page that I just built a couple of seconds ago. If you go to the drop down here, you want to have connections, and you want to add what we call a Notion integration. There are a lot of documentation that explain to you how you can build that. Just follow the nice, very well written articles on how to connect your n8n instance to Notion. Like it said, you click the drop down, the 3-dot drop down, and then you connect it, etc., etc. Anyway, you can follow this. This is out of scope for our current demo here. But trust me that I've done all these steps and they work. And now I have basically added in this Notion page, which is a database, I have my connection. As you can see, it says one. This one can read, insert, and update content. Perfect. All right. So now that we've got that out of the way, we're going to select from the this drop down here, database page. Then we're going to say create, and then it's going to create a database. And the only one available is n8n test. So I'm going to give it that. Now I can give it a title. So what are we going to give as a title? We're going to say recipe of the day. I can also give it maybe some sort of variable here. I can drag and drop. Remember I said you can drag and drop. For example, I could say I want to give it an ID here. Recipe of the day. Now it's going to give it a date and time. If I were to execute this step right now, it will just add a new entry in my database. Execute step. Let's go and see. There it is. Recipe of the day followed by timestamp. So I know, oh, okay, it's 2025-07-2022, which is the date of today. As you can see up here, Toolhouse. Whoops, it's hidden by the logo, but my date is in the corner in the stream. So that's pretty cool. All right. Let's delete these things. We don't need them now, but let's keep going. All right. Now, inside of a database in Notion, you can add properties blocks, or you can have options. So we're not going to add properties because we don't need it right now, but we could have, for example, extract from the response. We could do some data transformation and extract some interesting string of text that says, this is a brunch, this is a lunch, this is a dinner. Okay, but we're not going to do that now. We're keeping it simple for today, but you can go wild in your spare time and use all of this knowledge that you have about n8n, or if you don't have enough knowledge about n8n, there's so many YouTube tutorials, or you can ask us and we're going to make a nicer, longer stream on the basics of n8n. So let us know if you're interested in that. But there's so much content about n8n. Like I said, it spiraled, it became super successful, super famous, this platform, in the recent months, because it's truly the best way to create workflows that work together between different applications, different AI platforms, and also with the already existing nodes, right? Like these integrations like Google Drive, Notion, like the one I'm showing you now, et cetera, et cetera. Okay, so without further ado, let's add a block. I'm going to add a paragraph. So it's going to write my response here, and I'm going to take it, drag it here, and it's going to automatically parse it, get rid of, hopefully, of the new lines, and let's see how that works. So I'm going to execute it, and let's see if it works. All right, let's go to the page. So we have a new recipe. Remember, we cleared it. Let's have a look. Perfect. And so that I was able to get the basics of how to use Toolhouse with n8n inside of Notion. So this is a three-step process, right? You have like a manual trigger, right? Let's go back and take a look at it. Then you have the AI agent here. And by the way, like I said, you don't have to, if I double click here, you don't have to enforce this message every time. This message here can be a parameter, which means it can come from something else. You can make maybe other blocks before the AI agent, which find out what time of the day it is, and then select either A, B, or C. It could be brunch, lunch, dinner, or a snack, depending on the time of the day. So you can go wild and customize this. But for now, we're keeping it simple. We're having a message, we hard-coded it, so you don't have to pass a variable here. And so then the last block is to create our output, right? This is our output, is our create inside of Notion in a specific database and entry. And that's basically the last thing I wanted to show you. So now if I execute the workflow manually, because remember, the first trigger is that, and I'm gonna first empty our database so I can show you the whole end-to-end thing. Executing it, Toolhouse is working. It's calling the agent via our API. It's extracting the results, and then it's going to send it to Notion, and then Notion is going to do an API call and insert it into the Notion database. There we go. All right, it did it again. So it worked. So the demo was successful. And sometimes demos do not go as well as they could, but today we were very lucky. We got blessed, and so we were able to do this. So now let's talk about what else can you do with n8n and Toolhouse. Okay, so there's this page that our amazing CEO, co-founder, basically Daniele made this page, and Daniele, he's been loving thinking about workflows that you can build with n8n. And honestly, the sky is the limit, because you could have like a trigger come from GitHub, from a WhatsApp message. It could come from an Instagram message. It could come from a webhook. It can come from anything. It can also come directly from Toolhouse. So go on this page, toolhouse.ai/n8n, and take a look at other things that you can build. Slowly, as time progresses, in the next couple of days, we're going to add workflow files that you can download from each one of these things, so you can go and test them yourself. If you need use cases, you know what you need to do. Join Discord, come and talk to me, come and talk to Daniele, come and talk to any of the amazing people on Discord of our community, like Human, like Jake, like Pete, like the guy called Exorcist. We don't really know his name, but he goes by Exorcist. There's so many people who are nice, right? So come and talk to us. Shout out to Lumi. We know you're also watching most of the time, so you're a great member of our community, and we'd like to say hi. So just come and say hi. And if you need to set up some workflows and you're struggling by setting up maybe Docker, maybe building the Toolhouse node, we're here to help. We are here to make sure that your success is happening, right? We want you to succeed. And because Toolhouse is start for free mentality, you can try the Toolhouse platform without spending a single dollar. And so go ahead, sign up on Toolhouse, get your free account, and then you can connect your Toolhouse with the existing MCP servers that we have. You can also bring external MCP servers inside of Toolhouse, and then you can orchestrate all of your agents together to do something to hopefully make your life a little bit better, a little bit more smoother, etc., etc., etc. So with that being said, I'm going to wrap up the stream. I'm going to look if there's any comments. Alex Fazio, hi, thanks for your comment. That's crazy. Yeah, I mean, n8n is super powerful. And this was just like a super simple demo just to showcase that it exists. You can go and build and shape the future of automation now, even with Toolhouse. You can use whatever you want, but now you also have one extra tool, Toolhouse. So go wild. And if you are building something awesome, please let us know. We'd love to invite you on the stream to go over your use case like we do when we go to hackathons. And so you know where to find us. All right. That's all for today. I'm going to play the outro, which is the same as the intro. And feel free to skip it if you already seen it. But we love our little AI videos. And we are going to actually make more because we've got a lot of people asking, hey, how did you do that video? And it's all AI, thanks to Oscar. Oscar, if you're watching this, shout out for being an amazing AI video guru producer. So thanks, everybody. See you in the next stream. Next week, we have another big release. So it's in the same line of n8n. Maybe you'll guess who it is, but I won't spoil it. And I'll see you in the next stream. Thanks, everybody. All right.
You don't need a PhD in AI or $1 million team to build something legendary.
You heard about this hot new thing called AI agents, and you want to get in on the action.
First, you'll want to initiate your multi-agent orchestration layer. Then layer memory, traces, yeah. That's when most people give up. That's why we made Toolhouse, the first agentic backend as a service.
which is startup speak for we did the hard stuff so you can get to the fun part.
Toolhouse is the agentic backend that's already wired up. Just define your agent, deploy it, done.
Toolhouse gives you the whole stack: RAG, memory, traces, edge functions, and more.
If my grandma wanted to deploy an LLM agent, she'd use Toolhouse.
Okay, sweetie, now what?
Whether you're building a chat assistant, a micro software as a service, or your next hackathon flex, Toolhouse has your back because it was built by developers for
Developers.
Exactly. So stop overthinking. Start building with Toolhouse.